The NeuroDADverse podcast is produced by Squid Shack Studios.
Hey, I'm Ben.
And I'm Dan.
We're both fathers,
We're both married.
and we're both raising kids with diagnosed neurodiverse conditions.
Parenting is tough, and we're not saying it's harder for us, just different.
And sometimes that different can be hard to explain.
That's why we've created the NeuroDADverse, a weekly show where we share our wins, our challenges, and all the neuro-sparkly and neuro-spicy bits in between.
Our hope is to create a safe space for parents to share their own highs and lows of neurodiverse parenting. And just to remind you of three things.
You're doing great,
You are enough.
and you're definitely not alone.
So welcome to the NeuroDADverse. Hello and welcome in person to the NeuroDADverse, the podcast for, about and definitely by parents of neurodivergent children. Every week for a year we've got together and talked about our wins and challenges of parenting neurodivergent children. And to celebrate that fact, I'm here in person with Dan. Hi Dan.
NeuroDADverse in 3D.
It is in 3D. So we thought what we would do is read some questions that you guys as listeners and viewers have written in to ask us about so that we can maybe answer and do something different as a little bit of a celebration.
Yeah, so we've got quite a few questions to get through. We've got a few shorter answer ones, I think, and then we've got some more longer potential answer given.
Cool.
Because we always need context, right? That's my neurodiversity. I always need context. So, a couple about the pod itself. Did you imagine you'll still be recording a year later? So this is episode technically 59, so just over a year.
That's a good question.
Considering ADHD traits, arguably in both, I'm awaiting the diagnosis.
Yeah, we definitely overthought it a lot of the time throughout that year. Do you want to do a 1, 2, 3 and we both answer?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Yes. I was slightly less confident than your yes.
I really wanted, in my, the classic, I definitely commit to this. It's going to go into the mental Rolodex and then it just gets completely overwhelmed with other stuff. That's actually probably one of the proudest things about this is being able to keep to doing a weekly routine because I'm very anti-routine, as I've been saying quite a lot. Although both Amy and Frankie thrive on it, I don't know what it does. It just creatively shuts me down. So
I would say on zooming out of it, I think I've looked forward to it as part of my week more than I haven't.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's nice to have it there. Like it's like what we always do on a end of a weekend to round things off.
Yes, and this is where me not liking routine, I know my week is finished once I've done this. But yes, I suppose it's something that I enjoy. So if it's not something I enjoy, I hate routine-based stuff. But because it's become part of the life over the last year, it now just feels like this is what I do, and it kind of feels weird when I don't.
Yeah, it's cool. Good question.
Okay. What has surprised you most about making a podcast? Other than keeping it up for every week for 60 weeks practically.
I think that I thought I was going to forget a lot more of what we talked about week to week because there's so much going on that I thought, we'd chat on a Sunday and then we'd forget. But actually, I think because it's about our kids and what we've been through emotionally that week, it kind of sticks with you. So that's the thing that surprised me, I guess. What about you?
I think it kind of, I suppose, because I know the questions, because I have the iPad, a lot of these kind of do overlap. So I think my personal goal was I wanted us to keep doing it. I had attempted a podcast in the past. It lasted about, I think you get to the double digits and most podcasts just stop because commitment, resources, everything comes into it. So I really wanted us to be able to do something every week. And I am surprised that we managed to do that because knowing myself, because I have an active problem-solving brain, after about 3 or 4 months of doing this, I kind of had the process worked out, which means there isn't a challenge anymore and it just becomes another routine, monotonous task. So I'm actually surprised and proud of myself that I managed to keep that up.
Yeah, good.
But because I also suppose I treat it like work because I do this.
Yeah, there's a nice overlap there.
Yeah, because I do this for a living. I'm like, well, I would do it for a client, never think anything else of it. So I suppose I did also say this was more of a work thing, although it is a personal therapy session. Next question, kind of just related a little bit here. How has it changed or impacted your friendship?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. Well, I think the fact that we were kind of thrown back together in relation to watching football, and then we started talking about production and what type of video production you were working on, and then we kind of remembered that we both have similarities in terms of having kids with diagnosis of neurodivergent conditions. I think that has meant that we've been able to, I guess, dip into what's been going on for each other. So I feel like that we know each other a little better now, which seems weird to say because of a podcast, but it's because we're sharing we have similarities, so like shared experiences, albeit mine are like maybe a decade ago with my youngest, but kind of similar. Not that you can compare the two children, but like you're talking about the same things.
Yeah, I think from my side, I love that you always want to ask, because I'm asking the questions you get to answer first. So
I do feel under pressure, like I'm in an interview a bit at the moment. So
I have got I'm in a very positive, powerful stance here.
You can answer the next one, Dan. Is that right?
I'll pass you the iPad. Yeah.
Oh, no.
In terms of, I think we have discussed it a little bit over the past year. We know each other because you were a film tutor of mine whilst I was coming to the end of secondary school.
Yeah.
And we stayed in touch, and I don't know, we did a couple of short, we did some creative projects together. And then I went to uni, then you moved. And then been Facebook friends basically since then. And then I had been following, because obviously you see on Facebook, you see posts and whatever. So I could see what you were up to and the kids and Lauren, whatever. And then obviously because of the football, Charlton made it to a playoff. And we're very good at playoffs when we make them. You were very kind to reach out to me and offer me a spare ticket that you had, because somehow you had a spare. Amazing.
Yeah.
And
that was not planned.
You came to mine before we went to go watch the game, because it was the day before I was going on holiday, and I went, I don't know if I can make this work. But somehow we made it work. Somehow we won. And
the condition gives as much as it takes away. Hey, I can fit all that in. Weirdly, I'm going on holiday tomorrow and I'm doing this.
I'd never done so little packing before a holiday because of Charlton playing. So then we just started chatting. And it just felt really natural. And so now I feel like we haven't not been friends, but this is maybe one of my neurodiversity quirks, is I kind of just, time stops for me from the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
So I hadn't probably seen you in person for over a decade, but as soon as I saw you, my brain just goes back to last time you saw Ben in the Rolodex. And then I'm like, oh, cool. And then obviously we can comment about, oh, I saw you did this on Facebook. So now it just feels like we're probably, like you say, we're better friends because we're talking about our very personal, intimate moments of our weeks every week.
I think that too, yeah.
Without actually having necessarily met all the kids. I have met, we have met each other's kids, but not as two families together. It's amazing how I felt like I knew them without having really seen them. But it's really good that we got brought back together. I'm really, really happy that this has happened.
Absolutely.
Partly Charlton going up, but also obviously like that whole, I feel like, yes, I feel richer for us doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do genuinely think that I was very nervous at the start of it, because it was like, oh, we're going to be showing really personal things about how we feel about our kids and how challenging it is. And therefore I think we both felt like, oh, we're going to be kind of judged, but because there's similar experiences, it just feels, like you said, it just feels quite natural. And I feel like, the journey to that football match, like we could have recorded our chats about what it was like bringing up your kid and what was bringing up mine. So yeah,
we did like a 9-hour podcast that day.
Yeah.
Train journeys, walking in the stadium.
Yeah, of course.
But that's why I think when we took because we did also spend like 6 weeks recording without actually broadcasting. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
recording
yeah.
this now. It's been 363 days since we released
Oh,
NeuroDADverse.
you also like detail, don't you?
Sometimes.
No routine
Sometimes.
and detail.
Yeah.
That's good though.
So it's been a year of broadcasting, and I feel like we did the right thing in the end. I hope everyone does. We've been sent questions, and we do get people follow and listen from all around the world, unbelievably. So yeah, I'm glad that we did it. Are you glad that we did it?
Yeah, totally. Like I've been able to see things. I think generally talking about what's going on for you, and someone going, "Oh, have you thought about it this way?" It's just super valuable. And
From a place of knowledge as well, not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, have you tried this? Like, of course,
Yeah,
Susan, I've tried
not-
this. Like, it
Have
just
you tried-
doesn't quite
yeah.
work.
Have you tried telling them to calm down? No, that's not what I mean. Yeah, no, exactly that. Yeah, someone who and is like it's a safe person to talk to because they have the same experiences.
Last one on this particular sort of section, if we want to call it by sections. Has podcasting changed the way you parent?
Dan, has podcasting changed the way you parent?
Yes, I can honestly say it has. And do you know why? And the reason that I feel like, because everyone thinks they're great, right? Like everyone's special. The reason why I think our podcast can have impact and help people is I started this when Frankie had just turned 6. He's just turned 7. So I've just come through like the toddler years and early school. And you're like 10 years in front of me with 2 different teenage journeys. So I think the podcast has helped me parent better because you've been giving me golden nuggets each week where I go, this was a challenge, and then you can sit there, from the point of your experience and wealth of knowledge, and you go, maybe you should try that, not necessarily in a condescending educational way, but you're like, try this or try that, or you'll message me and say, oh, actually do this. So I'm gaining experience and knowledge that I wouldn't have been able to seek in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, the reason I laughed because it sounded like you just go, this was challenging, and I go, I found that challenging too, but here's the magic wand. It isn't like that, and if you've listened, you'll know that. But I also think too, because when you've talked through those challenges, my brain goes right back to those moments where we didn't know what to do. We had an early diagnosis for Oscar, not so much for Mabel, so for me to relive that and think, yeah, that was really tough, and it's nice because I simply like I feel, emotionally, I go, oh, I've been where Dan's been. How did we get out of that? Oh, I tried this. How's it going with that? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it's nice to be able to go, and reminding myself that, because I said this in the podcast quite a bit, Oscar has moments when they kind of like aren't necessarily showing with all of their bright colours their neurodiversity. Yeah. And I think like they're passing and just being like a regular kid. And it helps me to talk about communication styles, for example, to remind myself that's what I need to keep doing, because it's counterintuitive, you know? So yeah, it kind of reinforces that I need to parent them in a way which they always have, but I sometimes forget because they're becoming young adults now. So yeah, it's useful. I don't think if anyone said, in fact, when we're doing it, how's the podcast going? I've always gone, yeah, it helps me remember. Like I've not gone, yes, it's
going.
Yes, it's great. I was just like, yeah, forget that it's a podcast, if that makes sense. It just feels like we get together and chat, and so it helps.
One of the questions on here was, has anyone recognised you? Like, has a podcast listener outside of friends, like family and close friends, I suppose, has anyone kind of gone, oh, or noticed you out and about?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? You might just have people walking behind you going, oh, that's Ben from the podcast.
Well, I know lots of people who do listen are friends and family, so yeah. No.
Okay.
But yeah.
I had it once. I did bring it up, I think, about 6 or 7 episodes. Just after we chucked them all online, basically. I did go to a kids' party where one of my friends' family members actually, like, I could see them sort of glancing over We were just at a kids' party, so I was just like, oh, saying hello to everyone. And then later on, they come up to me and said, my cousin just wants to say that she does listen/watch your podcast. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Because at that point, you just feel like you put them on the internet and no one is listening. And I went over and said hello and thank you.
So someone did say to, I can't remember who it was. Someone did say to me at a family thing, it's like, oh, you know, on the podcast you were saying, and then started to talk about it. I was like, oh, I didn't know you listened. So yeah. So, but again,
how does that make you feel though? Because it is kind of weird, like in a nice weird.
Truthfully, a little bit uncomfortable because it's super vulnerable.
Yes,
I think to talk about
because we are talking about.
Yeah, like there are bits that are clipped about what we talk about, but I don't. A lot of the time, it's just this was really awful for me, or this was really challenging, and hopefully I can see through it, or you know. So I think I get a little bit scared of that. What do people think of me? But maybe that's a neurodivergent trait. I don't know. We'll see. We're not on that journey yet.
Has anything happened because of the podcast that you don't think would have happened had the podcast not happened? Apart from us rekindling our great friendship from over a decade ago. I struggled on that one, but I thought that was a really good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. That's why it's going to be...
Because it definitely influences what I do day to day. Because I think, remember what Ben said like 3 weeks ago, when this happened, just try this approach or do the... So, I felt that was kind of...
I think I've been, in the year that I've had, I think I would have been more... stress was the word that was coming to mind, but I think I'd have not handled difficult situations as well because I've had that moment of like putting it into perspective each week. Mm-hmm. So there are a couple of things I'm thinking about throughout the year. Mabel having to change schools, for example, and some quite poor attendance, and some now what was it? Where I ended up having to do a fashion show with Oscar to make sure that because they were stressed about their outfit.
Non-uniform day?
Yeah, something like that. But I can't remember what for.
I think you've done at least 2, maybe
day,
even 3.
Beach day, yeah.
School trip.
And I don't think I would have been able to because it was a really stressful crash out. And I just remember thinking, I talked about this on Sunday. Ways to re-regulate or calm down a crash out. So yeah, I think some of those. I think the positive spin. If we haven't been doing the podcast, I think I might have become a bit more stressed out by certain situations.
Before the pod, did you have an outlet to discuss the sort of things we discussed? Did you have You're allowed to have other friends than me when you answer this question. But did you have because if I'm honest, I didn't really feel that I did. And I think that's one of the real driving factors when we said think you said, I was like, if he says he wants to do a podcast, I'm just going to be like, yes, but I'm not going to be the one that suggests we do it because everyone, again, think we're all special, right? But I didn't really have that sort of thing.
Yes.
Not with someone that completely understood. I had people that would listen to me, exactly. But it's listening and they're hearing me.
Yeah, no other parents that really I could chat to that necessarily understood. A couple, but it wasn't like a regular thing. And then, and I haven't been doing any other kind of like soul searching work or like therapy regularly because that's a different type of thing. So yeah, no, there wasn't a space for it. There was a space to talk through things, but it wasn't like a two-way conversation because the other person was like also the other people, were sharing their stuff, but their stuff wasn't a parent and a neurodivergent child. So it wasn't a shared thing. Not that it was unuseful or unhelpful.
It's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what you said. Do you think your job potentially struggles with that because you are teaching, you don't necessarily interact with parents, like do you think that has like just that as a, because I always find...
Is it day 3?
Day 3.
Summer holiday, day 3.
Day 3, yes.
And I feel like
I'm bringing you back to...
I'm getting interviewed about school.
Well, no, but obviously because our experiences of... I'm self-employed, have the freedom to do what, as and when and be around. But obviously you are out of the house super early, you get back late, you are with children all day, you're with teachers, although they are potentially parents, but it's just different, right? Like that's what I mean. Like you can find people to talk to, but it's not like. Did you find it easy to make friends with your kids' parents, like their parents are their friends, because obviously you would be potentially around less? Does that make sense? I'm trying to articulate.
No, I don't know. So no, friends with other parents, I guess, has always been a bit of a struggle for both Laura and I. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think the teaching thing makes me feel like when I go to, like, I'm quite comfortable in the space just talking to other teenagers.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. Don't know how they feel about it, but yeah, I don't know.
I think the biggest change for making friends with parents, it's a barrier now. I can't really make friends like with Frankie's friends at school because he gets the bus now. I'm physically not at school, apart from the occasional events and parents' evening and stuff like that. So the friends that I made in year one before that, they're the ones I still talk to. But
I think the difference where you talk to me like you go to soft play or Sen Gym or whatever, I was in those spaces, but it wasn't a Sen focus.
Yeah.
It was a jungle gym where every parent, there was not a lot of understanding and a lot of judgment and a lot of telling off of me for not controlling my child. So yeah, don't make friends that way when you take an autistic kid to the jungle gym.
Yeah, I did have some experiences of this before we really started to understand, and the difference was becoming more obvious. But yeah, I remember going to soft plays and Frank just wanted to swipe everyone's fruit shoots. Other drinks are available. And I would just be like, I'm sorry, I'll buy a new one. It would cost me a fortune in fruit shoots, but that's what he wanted to do. That's how, now I know he was regulating, but all the looks I would get and just be like, and some people actually, like some mums would actually like grab him and go like, don't do that. And I'm like, you don't have to touch my child. But then it's really hard because I'm a dad. I'm like, don't touch my child. That comes across quite, I'm not an aggressive person by any stretch. I bruise like a peach.
I think,
but it's, I took about 6-7 months of that and went, this isn't going to work, is it? And then luckily we developed into our journey a bit more, and then we found access to other things that really helped. But
I told on the podcast, one of the pack of cards that we ended up doing just really gave me, like,
that's amazing.
If you've not listened before, it's just a pack of cards with a picture of Oscar on the front, and all the back says, I'm Oscar, I'm autistic, this means I might, but. And if they went for one in wherever we were, I'd just smash the deck of cards on the floor, it'd scatter everywhere. So if someone wanted to pick up the card and understand what was going on while I was regulating Oscar, that was like, my big thing was like, I'm only there, I happen to be in a Tesco or I happen to be in a jungle gym. Whatever you think is going on, that my kid is really badly behaved and I'm a terrible parent, you can read all about it on the card if you want, or you can pick up the card, read it, and still think I'm not very good at what I'm doing. But my main focus is this, like, just the physical thing of throwing that away and then being there for them was most important to me. Yeah. So yeah.
Amazing. Cool. I think it's time I give you the iPad.
Oh, do I get to have the iPad? Well, is it a case of come back after this and I will have the iPad.
Yeah. A jingle. We can do a jingle.
Got a question or want to share a story? Drop us a message on Instagram or email us at NeuroDADverse@gmail.com. Look after yourselves. Welcome back to the NeuroDADverse podcast, where we are talking about all things neurosparkly and neurospicy about parenting our neurodivergent children. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Ben.
Are we still in 3D?
We are still in 3D.
Okay, good. I have the iPad this half.
I must admit, it does feel very exposing not having an iPad here.
Does it? Yeah, You've got nothing.
I'm just stimming here with my pencil, feeling like...
It's all good. It's fine. I'm just going to take a swig of water while you prepare for your first question.
I'm not giving you my bank details.
So looking here at your CV. No. We're going to get into some more questions that you guys have sent in. So thank you very much. These are a bit more like bigger, bulky topics for this half. So I'm going to start with this one. It says, hi, a question for the pod. What is the best route for getting your child properly, in inverted commas, diagnosed? We keep hearing as parents our kids are on the list, but she's on the spectrum, and it's just a piece of paper. What does it matter? That type of vibe.
Okay, yeah.
So routes for getting properly diagnosed are becoming more and more complicated as more and more people are aware of certain things, I think. But yeah.
So our process was, I think, because I don't say this very often, but because of the profoundness of Frankie's autism, it was quite evident quite early. So I feel like in that situation, you have an advantage on stuff like this. So
people listening for maybe the first time, the key headlines for how obvious that might be are?
So Frankie is nonverbal, socially stims, sings like a thrush. That's one of his nicknames, is thrush. He stims like I do here, but he's more leaning outward and will be playing with currently a utensil or a toy.
Full body stimming.
Yeah.
Non-verbal, quite loud vocal stims.
Oh yeah, he doesn't like noise yet. He's the loudest person in the room. Yeah, that's my Frankie. So when he was 18, well, is it 18-month or 2-year review? I think it's a 2-year review with kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that happened for us.
Time ago.
No, I think it was meant to be, I think it's 18-month review, but because it was during COVID, it was more like he was nearer 2.
Yeah.
And at that point, they were doing their checks or whatever. He's always been quite tall. He's always been in like the 90 whatever percentiles for tallness. But she said in terms of communication, he's like a newborn still.
That's fine. So it was yours. You were referred to different pathways through an NHS because he wasn't meeting what they call developmental milestones.
Only because, well, we wasn't referred. They asked us, would you like to be referred, actually? So we said, yeah, okay, what does this mean? And then we was like, we don't know what we're doing here. This is fresh, first child, don't know. So yeah, we went through channels from there.
So in answer to the question, then that's
the polite way of saying I didn't answer the question.
No, it's fine.
No, I know. But
So it's in one way, you can be led by a clinician, right?
Yes,
so you
can go to the GP.
So they can say. So it's where I think if you're like the second part of it, it's just a piece of paper. I think our phrase is often the one that we like the most, which is like, it's important to find out if you're a zebra or a stripy horse. So if you've got some kind of quirks, you'll feel like a stripy horse. But if you're a zebra, you're something completely different. So if you're a zebra, you have all of these different things about you. But I would say that the proper way is whatever way works best for you and your family. And I would say just the diagnosis process. I mean, I feel like I'm getting super political, but we're not that type of pod. But like,
go with it.
I think it takes
time.
The process is not the diagnosis paperwork, and the process is not the only thing. The learning that has to happen as the parent is the thing, right? So that's community support. That's finding out about things, talking to other parents of neurodivergent children, getting to groups, that type of stuff, and finding out about the condition, like, and experiencing it together. But yeah, I would say there is still, depending on where you live in the country, a right to choose pathway. So you might be referred. So depending on how old the child is, the school might refer them, but they, depending on each county. So in Mabel's case, for example, they noted some things. We wanted them to put it forward. They suggested it to us. They did, came back, and they said it doesn't meet the criteria. What that meant was grades were okay. All of the, in short, she seems to be managing. So we had to do an NHS right to choose, and that took us about 18 months. I don't know what the kind of waiting lists and things are like now. And of course, there are then private diagnoses depending on the challenge that you're meeting and also your financial scenario. So hopefully that's super helpful, or even if it's not, it gives you some kind of context. I think it being just a piece of paper is kind of true depending on your point of view. Like,
I totally agree.
If your child is a regular goer to, I don't know, somewhere where they have to wait in line for something, and that is super stressful for them, that piece of paper is going to help. If you just need a kind of confirmation of something you already know, it's less helpful. But yeah, I think the things can go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think my thing on the first part of the question is, yeah, pretty much everyone has to follow there's a few different routes you can go. The second bit on, is it a bit of paper? It depends exactly. This is the unique part. It depends what your situation is. For Frankie, there are certain things you cannot access help for or get support in unless you have a diagnosis. So the bit of paper becomes more than a bit of paper in that respect, because it gave us access to clubs, access to knowledge, help that we can only get with a diagnosis. If you are someone that's potentially like myself growing up, I didn't have support at school. Just I could get through the genericness of school. A diagnosis at school probably wouldn't have done. I really wanted, I wanted more time in exams. I took my dyslexia test and I passed it by a bloody point. So because I knew that I needed time in exams, but classrooms and stuff I could deal with. Frankie struggles with focus, although he's doing much better now. He can't sit still. He learns in just a different way to traditional school. He gets allowances if he has a diagnosis.
So you've dragged me back into school mode. What's really interesting now is that they're starting to realise that loads more time in an exam is not super great for a lot of ADHD inattentive brains, for example, because that's just like you have to sit there for an extra 22 and a half minutes.
The torture longer.
What actually they're doing is called movement breaks, which means you do get longer in the exam because you're allowed to take these breaks. And you get to walk around and your brain goes, oh, look over here, look over here, look over here. I think the other thing about it in this message that it says is like people saying like they need support because they're on the spectrum and they haven't got this bit of paper yet. Well, actually saying my kid struggles with A, B or C, how can we help them? Those things can still happen without the diagnosis. It's just you have a legal framework with the diagnosis and the EHCP. Yeah. So it's all about Sorry, what?
In theory, you get support from not everyone gets.
But I would also say
you get more assistance by having the stuff.
I would also say it's about building relationships so that as best possible, the educators, if this is what we're talking about, the educators in that child's life know that child as best possible.
Yes.
And that's down to how you create that scenario. But then it's a complicated business because you feel like you're trying to advocate for your child. Yeah. And if they don't come up on a list, the school's not necessarily going to do that stuff. But
I think that's what you said there is fostering the relationships with people, because at the start of the journey, say my kid just needs a bit of help here and here, most places, what do we call it, educational places, nurseries, they don't have to do those things. You just wish that they did. With a diagnosis, they're like, okay, we in theory have to help more. But we were lucky at the start of Frankie's journey, we had a place that they went above and beyond to help meet his needs, which then helps us get the early diagnosis and whatever else. But unfortunately, we seem to live in a reality at the moment where just because, even if you have a really obvious need, like say you're in a wheelchair, like you're physically disabled, just because you attend that school, the school doesn't have to just get things put in place for them. They're waiting for the diagnosis to go, oh, they need a ramp and a lift. Cool, we'll put... So you are relying on people being kind-natured and I think it kind of it
zooms out as well across like every other adult that your child's going to come into contact with. You need to build a relationship, right? So, for example, some people's grandparents or uncles, and you need to bring them along on the journey. And nobody likes to be told, don't do it like that because they're autistic. Like they're autistic, so you need to do it this way, actually. Like no one wants to be told that. So it's about bringing them along on the journey, and that's super challenging because it is if someone's never experienced that before, or a child with these conditions. So yes, all right. Well, we will leave that one there. Thank you for your question. We can spend an hour on that.
Maybe we will in the future.
Yeah. So this is another question. It's really super specific. So, my neurotypical (open brackets maybe exclamation mark question mark) 5-year-old has a close friend who is diagnosed autistic. They attend a mainstream school setting. The child is verbal and enjoys his company. He wants to invite her around to our house for a play date, quote, without her mummy, which is his words. Is that a realistic possibility, or would you recommend inviting her and with her parent in case she becomes dysregulated and isn't so familiar with me? I don't want to put the mum under any pressure either way. She's a single parent with an older autistic son too. Okay, cool. So
just to clarify there, so is it the autistic child who wants to have a neurotypical,
well, no,
or is it the other way around?
No, so this person's child
Right.
is neurotypical, open brackets maybe.
Right.
So they want to have the autistic child over without her mummy.
Yeah, okay.
So
How lovely is that, just to start with?
Yeah.
That they've made friends with and want to hang out socially with.
Yeah,
Because that is
they
not
don't-
typical.
yeah, I was going to dive straight into the thing, but yeah. Can my friend
Nice child.
Can my friend come over? Yes. Is it okay if they don't? If their mum doesn't come? Yes, it's fine. I'll message the mum. It's just not a thing that happens if your child is neurodiverse. You have to think of so many other things. The thing I would personally say here, having had some experience, but I'm holding the iPad. Do you want to go first?
Okay, so just so I understand, so a non-autistic, we'll say, child wants to invite an autistic child over without that autistic child's parent
Yes.
because they want to have a play
I
date
would
and just
say-
make them feel
Yeah.
normal. So yeah, as I say, I can't go over the niceness, and that just makes my heart feel really warm. And
But also the
these
control
people
of the
exist.
circumstances.
But yes,
could be.
yeah. But
Maybe. We're not diagnosing, but yeah, okay.
the very fine detail of the maybe. Yeah, this is a fine drilled operation. Yeah, so really interesting. So if this was me, so I've got a 7-year-old non-verbal autistic child. If someone said to me, "Oh, come round our house for the first time ever," and you're supposedly not invited by the child, not by me as the parent, I would probably feel quite anxious about that, just because we all know on a bad day what the worst day could look like. But I would also be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." So how would I would want to try, because we've always said that we'll always try all experiences.
Yeah.
I would, if I'm not allowed in the house because the rules of the thing, I'll probably be very close nearby, outside / walking around in circles, listening to a podcast like NeuroDADverse. And if needed, I can be there quite quickly because in this situation, it will be my child that in theory is the one likely to deregulate because of the diagnosed condition.
So first, I think you're bang on. Like it's lovely to have that normality.
Yes.
I would say there's a really lovely opportunity for learning here, because first of all, if the parent whose child is going to come over has already an older autistic child, they will have been through that socializing before in some way, shape, or form, and they will know their child best. So it's all about communication and direct communication.
Oh, I'll be giving. Here's a WhatsApp. If these things happen, these are what you can do.
I also mean with the we're reasoning with the child, direct communication with the child. So we can have your friend over, and their mum is gonna come over too because that's important and safe for them. They're autistic. Maybe the child doesn't know they're autistic, but even if they're autistic, and so therefore that can mean they get really overwhelmed sometimes, and they might need their mum. But how about we make a compromise? You have this room all to yourselves, and we will be in the kitchen, or we will be in this room, and manage those expectations. I think it's not a problem to say, "Oh, my child has said they want to have some one-on-one time hanging out, and they've asked, could they come over?" Because I imagine maybe they have other friends over, and their mummy and their mum doesn't stay. It's a stay and play.
They're trying to make the experience.
They want to have.
normal,
Oh, when my friend came over, I want that experience with you. So.
Because you're kind of like the entourage, aren't you?
And I don't think it's a problem to say how do you feel about it? What are your child's needs?
Yeah.
And then that mum can go.
Yeah, that's the key. Yeah, what do you need?
Oh yeah, fine. I'll listen. I'll walk up and down, but I'm not really going to go more than 5 yards from your house.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we can get. So,
I'll be sitting outside texting. What do you mean they don't want me yet? But that is also kind of the prison that we build for ourselves. Like we do feel like the entourage for our kids, because when things start turning, the first person they look to is usually us. But it doesn't mean they can't regulate without us, because obviously they are at school and whatever else. But yeah, I suppose it also depends how familiar. Like if you know this child really well and they know who you are as the parent of the, they're coming to your house, and then it could just work a dream. But yeah, like you can't help but feel anxious because you just know in your head, oh, if this happens, this happens, this happens, and in the morning I'll be like, oh, they stubbed their toe or they didn't eat all their. You just start catastrophizing it in your head.
I also think there's opportunity to go, why don't you both come over and say to yourself, why don't you both come over, scan out the place. That's often a thing, but I don't know the child. And then we could arrange how we feel about things. Because it's all about like making people feel comfortable. And the best way to do that is through communication, I think.
A really good question. I hope it goes really well. And please let us know.
Yeah, I want to find out how that goes.
Specialised and direct that question was.
Yeah, cool. So this one says, what's the biggest misconception people have about your family?
Yeah, I thought this one was very good.
This is a great question.
Misconceptions about the ICOTs.
Okay, shall we narrow the question to because of the in relation to neurodiversity?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Fine.
Fair?
I suppose there's probably two. The first one that kind of comes... I suppose it's two sides of the same coin. I sometimes can get frustrated and then just have to reflect on, I can appreciate the viewpoint is people assume that we definitely can't do something that actually might be achievable with lots of potential scaffolding, signposting and whatever, or like you say, dry runs,
so
whatever.
Like we won't invite you guys to that because
we won't invite them because there's no way he'll be able to deal with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'm not saying I think I'm quite lucky in our friends group, so we're not seen as this, but you can kind of have the neurodiversity sort of label of they're just going to be difficult. Or,
that's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
If they come, it'll be a lot.
Like, yeah. So if they come, then this like things change because they're here because of needs, whatever. And I can understand why people think like that. I wish they didn't, but yeah. So sometimes I think some people, probably like myself, they overthink it and make it really complicated when it doesn't necessarily need to be, or they totally oversimplify something and don't necessarily think about it enough.
If you're listening and you have some friends who have a neurodivergent child and you're considering including them, it's super simple. Hey, we're thinking about doing this. Does that work for you? What do you need? And the answer is yeah, let's look at it. Probably need this. We can probably come for half of it. What are your thoughts? And it's it's simple. What are you? Would you be up for that? What do you guys need?
Yes. What do you guys need? Super powerful. Don't hear that very often. But but there are also people that we do know that just go, okay, if we want to invite you to this. So, but yeah, I think the biggest misconception is without actually necessarily exploring because everyone is different. Like the spectrum is vast and everyone is slightly different. Unless you actually understand what the needs are, you can have a lot of misconceptions about how things can be.
I think sometimes I'm going to try and think back to like when early diagnosis, when the kids are like 7 and
Frankie's
6
age,
years old. Yeah. I think onlookers who didn't know us would probably think that one of us in that moment was an awful parent who didn't help the other, like it was a terrible marriage. Because our vibe of working it out very quickly was, I'll stay here and deal with this, you go over there. They need a one-on-one. So if we're out with both the kids, usually it would be Oscar having the crash out and Mabel would be somewhere in a jungle gym. So it'd be like, Mabel's far of the jungle gym, Oscar needs less, not more. So you go do that. So I would stay or Laura would go. And we worked that out pretty quick to be pretty much like, I've got it. And then we'd do like a tap in, so like a tag, like come and like if we saw that it was getting more stressful. So we wouldn't have that, or where have you been, or what are you doing, and that type of thing. But I think people watching that were like, oh, well, that parent's just walked away because they've just had a big row. No, actually, we're just like, so there was that.
It's actually a well-oiled machine system here that's going on. No, to you, it looks like.
I don't think that. We just had a. No,
but you had a plan.
No, we had a framework, and that's what we were doing. I'd say not necessarily about the family, but certainly about certain members of it in different circumstances, is that it's like lazy
Yeah, actually.
because they experience overwhelm.
Yeah.
And actually, we can't come do that thing. We were going to do that thing today, but we're dipping out of that because kids' needs. And I think that inattentive thing for Mabel is something that she probably gets judged quite a lot about. And just like Laura having to regulate her sleep after 2 night shifts usually is well into the afternoon before she's like awake and stuff. I think people who know us well know that that's not the case, but yeah, I think probably like the additional time it takes to regulate is confused with laziness.
Yeah, I can understand that. And then I think another one that just kind of popped into my head, misconception, is because they're autistic, they're not intelligent.
Yeah.
Like, or they will witness something and they'll be like, oh, like, didn't know he could do that. And I'll be like, why couldn't he?
And
Like the
infantilize it, like
yeah.
oh, aren't they doing really well with their reading? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen loads, but I'm just like, yeah, you say like, it's just because he doesn't talk and presents as a flappy, runny round, happy songbird, then he can come in and he wants to eat yogurt with a chocolate thing chopped up. He'll get all the stuff out on the side, and people go, "Oh, isn't that?" I'm like, "But that's how he communicates."
Behaviour communication.
And they're like, "Oh, isn't that great? You can do that." And yeah, so
I mean,
I don't think they mean it like that, but it just sometimes just implies like because he's this, he's not
I think
intelligent.
there's genuine surprise.
Yeah.
But I think they think, they haven't really experienced it, so they'll think about it to be like a global delay or someone with Down syndrome, which doesn't mean they're not intelligent, but like it's a neurological stop or whatever. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have had this necessarily because of Frankie's often and quite constant, like visible signs, but like people would sometimes go, "Oh, they look all right actually." For Oscar,
Yeah.
like, they look like they're okay.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't have a cold.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Actually, I had that. Not naming anyone, but I had a few people have went.
I don't
doesn't look like he's got autism, and you're like, what does that? I've always thought that's there obviously must be some kind of picture.
We know each other well enough to know that whoever said that hadn't been looking at Frank for long enough.
Yes,
because they have loads of visible traits. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, I never, especially the diagnosis stage. Oh, they didn't look like. I never would have thought, and I'm like,
I don't think there's any malice in that.
No,
though.
but
it's just curiosity, right? So if you approach it as curiosity and not judgment,
is what I
yeah. So like, if you're curious enough to say that doesn't look like they're autistic, I really like the follow-up question. What did you think it would look like? Right? We are running out of time, it appears. We've got some really good questions, so maybe we'll come back after another little bit and do some more.
Back in a sec.
Welcome back to the NeuroDADverse, where we are asking some quick fire questions in person, still in 3D?
Still in 3D.
Still in 3D. So Dan, tea or coffee?
Hot chocolate.
Of course, always hot chocolate. What about, has Frank gone to hot drinks yet?
No, not really.
No.
He doesn't like fizzy. Loves squash juice, water.
Exciting. Hot squash is good fun. Is that something?
Hot orange juice apparently helps you go to the toilet if you're constipated. That was the lie that or truth my nan used to tell me. If you ever can't go for a number two, right. Hot orange juice apparently is the way.
There you go. No, don't ever say the podcast doesn't help out. I think I'm coffee. I'm addicted to coffee.
What type of coffee then? Because I've had one coffee my whole life and didn't like it. I think I've said on the pod.
I
don't need caffeine to keep me awake. That's my problem.
Probably would say it's milky, but that's because I have less caffeine that way. But yeah, filter's fine. I don't know. When I was working in film production, I just would just use it to stay awake. Cool. Favorite takeaway to have when you've had a challenging week?
Chinese is my go-to. Aim is Indian, so we generally alternate. Although we're banging to Morley's at the moment, chicken shop. Just to clarify. It's not the
In
department
our house,
store.
I think it's pizza, but there has been a stage over the last 2 months, 3 months. Where are we in the year? Maybe 4 months, where Laura has hyper focused on getting wings. So just that. What is the most used phrase in your house in relation
To neurodiversity.
Yeah.
Right, okay, not just Dan, what's that? Would probably be the most used. So Frankie related would probably I have a big thing about not saying no to Frankie, not all the time, but it could easily be Frank. No, because he's trying to climb or trying to go for his 5th yogurt or whatever else.
Is that what is? Are they acknowledging that?
Yes,
Nice.
He likes when you put stresses in.
Oh, okay.
So if I go Frank, nothing will happen. But you go Frank,
Oh, nice.
he'll go.
Good.
So yeah, probably just Frank, trying to get him to acknowledge we exist or do something.
Cool. I think a staple I've talked about on the podcast loads in our house is when then. Like when you've done that, then we'll do this, or when this is happening, then I use that structure quite a lot. I'm talking to the kids, and yeah, there are other little strange, funny phrases. I think the thing that I'm noticing quite a lot now is where you start a sentence, but it's interrupted by Laura or Mabel singing a song that's like, that thing where you start saying a part of a sentence.
Oh, and they carry it on.
And they carry it on, but in song form. So, yeah, probably that. Right. There's 3 more of these quick fire questions, and I'm going to give the pad to Dan.
Ooh, parenting soundtrack.
That's interesting. I was just talking about songs. That's very, very interesting.
As in, are we picking a song that we think encapsulates our parenting, or just a song that gets us through the day?
I think we can just do whatever. I think there are songs that I would have sung to the kids because I knew all the words to that now they're very well aware of. So stuff like
To help them calm down and regulate.
Or bedtime songs. So so stuff like Saves the Day or Jimmy Eat World I would listen to and sing along to, like slowly, but they knew every word. So I think those are the things a lot we play on car journeys as well. So they quite like.
So in our house, it will probably be Anything by Elton John.
Nice.
When Frankie was a toddler or baby, we lived near a nightclub that played music. So to get him to sleep through the night, we had to get him used to sleeping to music. So we made a playlist. Well, I played him songs, and if he cried at them, I'd take him off. But he does seem to like Elton John.
Interesting.
In particular, Sacrifice and
the slow stuff.
Sacrifice, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Benny and the Jets.
Wow.
Me and Amy like that one as well because that's in a film that we both like. But Elton John is probably, and sort of classic soft rock anthems of the 80s and 70s.
Nice.
Favourite Bluey episode? I don't know if that applies to you.
Wow.
Does it?
It probably applies to me if I'd watched them.
Did I just incorrectly assume something about your family?
No. Absolutely not. We've never watched an episode of Bluey. I've never watched an episode of Bluey. Now, that's because my kids are teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
And no, I think like...
What was their thing?
The calmest they were watching TV was when I put on like GB stuff, like Ghibli.
Okay.
Studio Ghibli stuff. But so yeah, like Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke, that type of vibe, slow stuff. Or like there's a couple of Irish animations like Song of the Sea and Wolf Walkers we used to really love. But in terms of the mainstream stuff, it's just chaos. I like the chaos stuff like Swashbuckle. Seen that show?
Yes.
Yeah,
Frank actually did like that for a little time. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Favourite Blue episode. For Frankie, I think it was the one where they went to they had a swimming pool and they had a cleaner and they were trying to avoid that. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But that also resonated with me a little bit because when I like hanging around with all the kids, and everyone eventually just shouts, Dan, like, can we do this, Dan, can we do that? And there's a line in there, but Bandit goes, can everyone just stop saying Dad? And I'm like, can everyone just stop saying Dad? But I really like the dancing one. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's Dance Monster. Anyway, who's worse at replying at WhatsApps?
What? Me and you?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I feel like we're just going to blame each other on this.
I feel like it's, no, I'm not. I feel like it's me. I feel like it's me.
I'm either bang on it or it could be days. But if I read it, I have to mark it as unread, so I come back to it.
I do feel like it's me because I often have to listen to your voice notes again to remind myself what it is. I'm busy.
Voice notes again. It sounds like you don't like my voice noting.
No, it's fine.
I love WhatsApp because I can voice note.
Yeah, of course you do.
Is
that still on quickfire?
I think that is, and it wasn't. Okay. My side was not quickfire. You see, everything has context with me. That is my problem. And okay. Tea or coffee, hot chocolate wasn't even an option. You see. So.
Well, because we're in 3D and we've celebrated for doing this for a year and we've done it in person, it doesn't change anything. Thank you very much for listening to the pod, and thank you very much for watching it and downloading it and getting involved. Thank you for sending those questions. That was really interesting and a fun thing to do to celebrate us doing this for a year. There's 3 things that I never remember. So Dan's going to tell you what they are, and we will see you again soon.
So the ethos of the NeuroDADverse is we do this to let you know that you are enough. You're doing great, and you're certainly not alone. Please win your week. Happy summer holidays.
Good energy.
Good energy.
That's about it for the NeuroDADverse. We'll be back next week.
If you laughed, cried, or nodded in tired agreement, don't forget to follow us and leave a review. It helps more parents find us.
Just remember, you're doing great.
You are enough, and you are definitely not alone.
Got a question or want to share a story? Drop us a message on Instagram or email us at neurodadverse@gmail.com. Look after yourselves.